But see, now it's fucking okay. Fuck that. Today, video topic of today. Sorry I didn't make a video yesterday. I had one made, and then or I didn't have one made. I was making one upstairs because I was like, oh, we'll finally get out of the basement. We'll make one upstairs. It'll be sick. It'll be more light. And there's just no privacy. There's dogs barking in the background. They're jumping up into frame. I'm like, okay, fuck this. We're just gonna keep making them in the basement until I go back to school. Topic of today's video: fear of failure and other creative roadblocks that I totally asked more than one person what their creative roadblocks were, and then just decided to make a video off of one person's response. However, when I hear back from the other people, we will make more videos. So I guess we'll call this creative case study number 1. I don't know. If anyone else has creative roadblocks and would like to tell me what they are that aren't addressed in this video or in another video, please tell me. I feel like, yeah, that's a cool idea. I fuck with that. We'll do that. So if you or anyone watching this, just text me. I guess that's it. I'm not putting my number in the description, but as far as I know right now, it's just my friends that are watching these videos. So if I don't know you, leave a comment and I'll make it. But as of right now, it's just my friends watching these. So just text me if you have something that you are personally dealing with that you think can be solved in, something like this, a creative case study. That's a sick ass name. See, I came up with that on the spot. That was improv right in this moment. That's badass. Okay, so first one we're going to be talking about is fear of failure, which is a very big one. And I want to cite one specific example from Stephen Pressfield's The Art of War book. He talks about this a lot. He, for the most part, just talks about creative resistance, he calls it, which is all the excuses your brain makes up not to do things. My excuse this morning was I'm literally in my pajamas. You can't see it, but I'm just wearing this sweatpants and then funky socks. They're look at this. They say, oh, you can't see it on that side. Fuck. They say I fucking love it out here or something. It's supposed to be the woods. So they're, I was like, oh, I'm not prepared to make a video. It's 9 a.m., 10 a.m., I'm still in my pajamas, but my ass has been reading and writing this stuff out for the last hour. So, fuck it, we're gonna make a video. I don't give a shit. I look fine. Who cares? Anyways, fear of failure. How do we stop this? It's not as hard as you think it is. So he cites one specific example where when he was writing screenplays, he wrote the screenplay for a movie, he sent it out, the movie gets made, and he's all excited. He's like, oh my God, people are gonna love this movie, I did such a good job. The movie gets made, people hate it, to the point where he says he drives out to the suburbs, and he goes up to some little kid, and he's like, hey kid, what'd you think of the movie? And the kid's like, bro, that shit was ass. And he's just like, oh, okay, I failed, this shit is terrible. And he has dinner with his friend the next day, or coffee or whatever, and his friend's like, so you gonna stop writing screenplays, you gonna stop making movies? And he's like, no, of course not, why would I do that? And he's like, so what are you worried about? You failed, step back. This goes back to that thought exercise too. This is very similar to the thought exercise that I talked about in dealing with negative thoughts. Step back, look at it. How can you improve? How can you make it better? Listen and accept criticism. That's another thing that this person in the case study, everybody's going to know probably who I'm talking about, but I'm not going to say their name just for, reasons. But another thing that this person was talking about that they were struggling with is this fear of criticism. And personally, I am also scared of this. That's kind of what's held me back from making these videos in the first place for a long time. But you got to understand the difference between envy driven criticism or hate and actual criticism. So he says in his book that envy driven criticism is the ultimate compliment, and you take it for what it is, and you realize that the only reason that someone is hating on you or, you know, saying, oh, you know, this shit sucks, blah, 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 most of the time it's because they wish they had done it. You know, I mean, a really good example of this is 6ix9ine. Everyone hates 6ix9ine. But you hate 6ix9ine because he's rich. You hate 6ix9ine because he figured out how to manipulate the internet and make money and put very little effort into it. And you're like, fuck, why didn't I think of that? Like, yeah, he's annoying, so you probably dislike him for that reason too. But for the most part, you're jealous that he's rich and you're not. You know? That's just kind of how it is. You know, yeah, his music sucks, but, you know, you don't have to listen to it. So that's, you know, in that case, if you were the artist and you make something, you're probably not going to make what 6ix9ine makes, but if you make someone hates it, just know that for the most part, they're probably jealous because they wish they could make something. They wish they had the confidence to go out there and put something out that is either equal to you or almost as good or just anything. So don't worry about hate. Now, actual criticism, constructive criticism, just accept it. Don't let it bother you. Accept it. Look at what you've made, because you've put it out there. Look at what you've made, observe it, and just be like, okay, how can I make this better? How can this, you know, turn into something more productive? Rewind, not more productive. How can I make this more effective? How can I be more original, more myself with this? I think something that a lot of people are like scared to do is to totally be themselves, like on camera or in their songs or, you know, whatever creative output they're doing, because they're like, oh, people aren't going to like myself. Well, if you are true to yourself, no one else is going to be able to make anything close to that. So be true to yourself. Like, you will get less criticism if you are more authentic to yourself and not trying to play into other things, you know? So do that. Be yourself and accept criticism that can help you. Use it to learn, use it to get better. You know, just for the most part, use criticism to help you. That's the biggest thing that you can take away from this. And read The Art of War by Steven Pressfield. All of this shit I'm saying is from that book. Like, it's a great book. I read it in line at Disney. So, you know, it was so good that I wasn't even focused on the fact that we were going on like Guardians of the Galaxy and shit. I was just like, yeah, you know, resistance, fear, being more creative, you know, getting shit done, being a professional, not an amateur, you know. So read it. It's a good book. Last thing on here was seeing progress. A big thing with this is, again, looking back and observing, but also figuring out what your like line is. Don't push. A lot of people will say like, don't fight above your weight, you know, like in boxing terms. Like if you weigh 150 pounds, don't fight someone who's 250 pounds. In this case, like, don't push above the line of what you can do too far. You want to push above it, you want to make progress, but do it slowly, progressively, you know, overload it. Like if you're lifting at the gym, you can't lift 200 pounds right now. You can lift 50 pounds, so lift 50, don't lift 200, you know? And if you want to get better, lift 60. So it's just kind of this like slow progression of building upon yourself and making yourself better, which honestly is just practice. Like if there was one thing that could kind of like quell every fear, like I wrote this down and I think, at least right now, it's been very helpful. It's create, observe, improve. Like think of that as just like a cycle. Create, observe, improve. Create, observe, improve. Like just keep doing that. And not only will your fears go away, you will probably be more successful than just creating and being like, oh shit, everyone hates this. Or, you know, creating the same thing over and over again and not improving upon it or making it look better, you know? So if we take anything away from this video, it's create, observe, improve. Create, observe, improve. And this should literally quell most fears that you have. So that's the end of creative case study number 1. Good luck, guys. Adios.